Before we get started, make sure that you are subscribed to all the dorky diggity goodness on the channel, and if you want to see more, click on that notification button. Now enjoy the video. Learn a little something. Take a lesson. Learn it all. Yo, this is Dorky Diggity Dave, and today I have the devs in the hot plate today. It's not really a hot plate. It's kind of like a cool plate. The lights are a little hot, but then again, so is this segment. All right, pay no attention to that. We've got some questions that you guys fielded over in the video. We took the most popular questions and we are asking the devs. We're gonna get some crazy answers today, hopefully some stuff that you'll love. And let's go ahead and get started. We've got our main man in here. Well, they're all main men. We got Brad in the house.
Hey guys.
We got Stevie.
Hey.
We got Keith.
Hey.
And we've got Aiden.
Hey.
All right, so what do you do?
I'm the senior producer on the project.
I'm a senior game economy designer on MCOC.
Live operations manager on Marvel Contest of Champions.
I'm a senior champion designer on Contest of Champions.
Oh, very nice. So last time we asked some questions. I wanted to have a couple updates for you guys based on how they answered. And I think one of the main ones that we all love is prestige. And that came in as one of the questions, as well as another change that came in. And I believe Brad can speak a little bit to that regarding prestige. And I believe the question was having hashtags, being able to sort by hashtags, but you had an alternate option at the time.
It used to be sorted by rank up capability, sort of. It was a very strange initial implementation of that. We definitely knew that needed to be changed. We do have did have some thoughts about sorting champions by hashtag and adding some more sorting and filtering options, but a lot of those are wrapped into other bigger initiatives that are going on. So we wanted something that we would be able to give to players right away, something super simple to add. And honestly, I really love the addition of it's small, but it's quite the headache reliever.
Are we looking into moving forward on the hashtags? Like what kind of a timeline can we look at or expect? Or
timelines are always really tough, obviously, and I think you're going to look at the camera weird because I said that. That's one of those ones, right? Not the best answer, of course. We do have some initiatives that we're talking about that it will be wrapped into. It's going to take some time, though. I mean, it's not currently on our roadmap, but it's coming with a lot of other really cool stuff, too. So it'll make a lot more sense once we get closer to that point to be able to initiate development time against it and stuff.
All right, so TBD?
TBD, unfortunately.
Okay,
yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, so last time we were here, they were talking about duels, and they were asking about a rematch button. And they were saying, when can we expect that? And you were saying that was something you were going to look into. So that was in November. We're in February now. So I'm trying to get an idea of how these things go in the development cycle, how long they take usually. What kind of movement has been done on that particular case? Is that something that you guys are still looking at?
We did a lot of investigation around. Well, so let me start at the beginning. So first of all, that feature is really old. The duel feature, when it was initially implemented, like way back in the day, it was just a quick method for players to be able to fight against their friends. But because of the champion roster has grown so incredibly much over the years, and like the initiative behind it and the reason that people use it has changed a lot. You have troubles fighting against a specific defender. Iron Man Infinity War was bonkers for a while. You wanted an opportunity to be able to go and fight against him specifically over and over again as a training room, kind of a feature. And the duels were never really meant to do that initially. So we've been looking at different ways that we could incorporate some kind of functionality for players to train against other opponents. And we've got some stuff that is coming. It's not the best solution. There's definitely bigger initiatives in the future that might help even more. But we are going to be implementing dual targets. So you'll notice in game players can't use the player name like Wolverine. So we're going to be setting up, player accounts. Well, not player accounts, but there'll be Kabam-owned accounts called Wolverine that you'll be able to easily go and search for, and it'll give you the maxed out version of the top version initially to be able to go and duel against. So that's going to save players a ton of time trying to find the right duel target. You won't have to search Google anymore. It should save a lot of headaches.
That's pretty fantastic, actually. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, it's coming in a couple months. It's not here quite yet, but it's coming pretty quick.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. Okay, I think that's it for the follow-ups from last time, because I want to kind of get into some of these newer questions that were asked. So this one is from Orange Jesus. That's a pretty cool name, Orange Jesus. What is the future vision for lesser and greater solo crystals? They haven't been relevant in years now, and we get them for everything.
Yeah, we know solo events are a little bit stale. Right now, there's no plans on changing them. It's one of those things, looking at the goals of why we added them in the first place. Arguably, solo objectives and other modes in the game now do it a lot better. So actually, the potential is that we might cut them and remove them from the game just because, the original goals are no longer being met.
So is that solo events overall, or is that just like the solo event crystals?
It would be the 7-hour and the 22-hour solo events. Like we still use solo events for the monthly events or the special event stuff, and we use them periodically for different things. But the 7-hour and the 22-hour ones, aren't reaching the goals of what they.
I mean, I still get my 25 units off of that thing, man.
That's true.
I get it. But I don't like the 7-hour ones because there's just like nothing that I really want from there.
Right.
But I like the units. So will those units go somewhere else?
Well, I mean, that's in part why they haven't been removed yet. Like when we take them out, players would want where's that? That was something I was getting, and now I'm not getting anymore. So that's the problem with removing some of that stuff too, right? We'd have to figure out, okay, well, if we're removing that, what are we replacing it with? Right. Some sort of daily solo objectives, some sort of another way to kind of achieve what they originally were trying to do, which was, get people to log in and check out what's going on, and then try to, do special objectives, something different every day.
I mean, I did used to use those a lot. Even the 7 and the 22 hours before 5 and 6 stars became as relevant as they are in terms of endgame content. When I had 4 stars, I loved getting those 4-star sig stones. I was just like, I gotta get that next level. Do you feel like that's something that maybe Cavalier or Uncollected people might have added to their possibly solo events as a replacement for that instead of getting rid of them? Because it sounds like the lower end players still can enjoy those, but higher end players have come to maybe only want the units like I do.
Yeah, I think that there's definitely a possibility of where do 5-star sig stones. It's something that solo events did provide 3-star and 4-star. It was the place to get signature stones. There's no place to get signature stones right now outside of the monthly events and other things. So it is a potential improvement that we could make.
Okay, well, I'll have to do a follow-up next time I come up here. All right, sounds good. I will table that for now.
All right.
Next one comes from Little Superman. When, if ever, are we going to see a mastery system change or a core sale? And are new masteries out of the question? So,
core sales. So we do periodically have core sales. I don't have any knowledge of those coming tomorrow, but we will periodically do them. They'll show up in the game. We do have Stony cores that you can get from the classic version of the back issues, as well as discounted versions of Stony and Carb cores in the Black ISO market. But if it's specifically the Carb cores, yeah, those are a bit pricey, and you'll have to wait for a sale.
Yeah, or it's in the sigil.
Yeah, in the Black ISO market, they are discounted.
Oh, that's what I meant. Yes, we're saying the same thing.
Yeah, and then for masteries.
So as far as when we would do a mastery sort of rework or update to the system or a couple of the changes, there's a couple factors at play. Probably the biggest thing is just sort of the scope of the game has gotten so much bigger since the mastery system was first released. And so any new masteries you want to add are sort of compounded by the fact that we have to test them against all the other mastery combinations and also all the champions that we've now added to the game since that point. So it's not that we don't want to add new masteries. That'd be really cool. But it's that sort of capacity-wise, we have to balance that versus just sort of our work on adding new champions and other kind of content like that to the game. As far as just sort of reworking the existing mastery tree and not adding new stuff, it's kind of a similar thing to what we touched on earlier, where if we're going to remove something, we want to be able to replace it with something else. We know that there's some parts of the mastery tree that people aren't super happy with, and we definitely are very aware of those things and we look at them, but it's tough to just sort of make that change without thinking about, well, there could be someone out there who does care about this. And then also, if we are going to be changing stuff, we want to be able to improve it, not just cut out the stuff people don't like.
Do you think that masteries would, that type of mastery change, because it comes in a couple different things. One, people want to do something with the levels. And if you go past level 60, it doesn't necessarily mean you get another mastery point, but people are looking to go past that because we're doing quests every single month. You're constantly doing stuff, and then you get all these like XP boosts and stuff like that, and we can't do anything with it other than sell it. So is that something that maybe you're looking into to maybe add, I don't know, something vanity? If you get to like level 70, you get like a cool something, or you get like some fragments of something for every time you finish a level. Is that outside of the realm of possibility?
I mean, that's outside of the realm of like, at least like sort of the mastery system that the champions team has ownership of. But if we wanted to switch that question over to someone else, we could.
I mean, yeah, when it comes to the masteries, we have a budget of mastery points that we sort of capped out on.
Yep.
I don't think there's any plans to give players more mastery points. As for the level, that has been something that's been discussed on what to do past level 70. There are a lot of different systems in other games where you can kind of like continue that down that path. What we had in contest was a lot of specific things like mastery points, very specific things tied to unlocking things. And once you reach that point, sort of everything's unlocked in the game. So there was never a need to like kind of go past that point. There is a possible, improvement there that we could add more levels after that point. It's just what will we put in them? I know players have pretty high expectations of what they should get at each level, like especially because the last 10 levels give you like catalysts. So, that we would probably go with something a lot smaller and then make lots of levels and then have it so that you feel progress as you go up. But the rewards themselves might not be super great. So would players like that? Or is it worth it just to have some players be able to get to like level 200 and show off how high level they are just for the vanity aspect?
Yeah.
Those are the type of questions that we're looking into. But right now it's not on the
docket.
Yeah.
Would that be a question for Stevie in terms of what would actually come to that person? Like what does that conversation look like? Saying, hey, we're going to like level 75. Should they get 2 T4B and like 50,000 gold? Like what does that conversation look like?
So the difficulty we have with the levels right now, it's have you seen, we are more and more tying everything by campaign progression, like Act 1, 2, 3, 4, Uncollected and stuff. We're trying to move away from levels because you can have XP everywhere and it doesn't really reflect where you are in game right now. So it's really hard to give out catalyst based on your level. So as you said, we may need to give something more like vanity-like, but we need to have something that's really that player want to chase.
Yeah.
We can give out like meaningless items or stuff like that. So the question is, yeah, we can do that, but what we give out that's not destroying the economy, and at the same time that's interesting for the players.
What would a strain on economy look like? Like what does that mean? Because the last time we talked about gold and Keith was touching on, that doesn't fit in the economy of the game. And we got a few snarky comments. I saw you guys about what that is. So I want to try to maybe open up how just giving out 500,000 gold to everyone, every like 2 weeks is something that would not be good for the game and for the economy.
So we have a big problem in the game right now, especially at the early level, is that the players are growing fast vertically, like really fast. We know that even at the beginning of the game, 3-star and 4-stars are almost becoming irrelevant and then jumping into 5 stars right away. If we give out more gold, if we give out more catalyst, more shards, we're basically keeping all the beginning of the game. And if we make the beginning of the game irrelevant, players are not invested enough in the game to continue playing. And we don't want a game that's boring. We want to challenge them. We want them to be able to enjoy every fight. And if we give them too much power, they're just going to cruise through all the fights in a 5-hit combo and just going to take a long time to go through the levels and without being challenged.
Okay. And last point on that, so the pushback that we get on that is, well, that makes no sense because people can just spend money
and buy as many crystals as they want, and then therefore just keep on getting as much gold, or they can just spend as much time in the arena as possible and just like, grind up, as much gold as possible. So the counter argument is they might not see that point because people like this exist. How does that look in the overall scope of the game in the economy?
So if we're talking specifically about gold, yes, you can buy as much gold as you want. But if we're talking about champions, that's not really true. Like if you're pre-uncollected players, you actually can't buy as many 5-star as you want. You have to go through at least the 4-star, reaching uncollected, and then be able to reach the 5-star. Same stuff for the catalyst. You can't really buy the catalyst except for the offers or from the glory store. And to have the glory necessary, you need to play AVA, so you need to have a good roster before being able to buy those rewards and those items. So except for gold and perhaps ISO, all the other items, they kind of tie to your progression, and you want to keep it that way. We don't want to set 5-star to contender players, for instance.
Good, thank you. If you have further questions about that, just keep popping them, and I'll keep asking them. Because that's going to come up again. I guarantee there's going to be
no problem.
There's going to be more questions. All right, we'll move on to the next one. We spent some time on that one. I do have one more follow-up question about mastery. So, what do you think would be a fair kind of timeline to expect? Nothing that we're tying anything to, but what would be like a fair timeline in terms of like a mastery rework that would allow people to like for instance, in my alliance, sometimes people have to go in, turn off suicide masteries, place their war defense, and then come back and put it back on, which is a unit cost. That's not a happy unit cost. You're literally, it's like for 5 minutes you're taking them off, putting them back on. So when can somebody like expect to have something like, hey, we're going to turn off the suicide mastery tree so that I can place, and it's a lot less expensive than turning off the entire offensive area. Like, what does that look like? Like, what does that conversation, implementation, development cycle look like?
So something like that is much closer to sort of a loadout system or a mastery page system where you can kind of set up stuff in advance and then be able to swap between pages sort of easier than having to refund a whole tree and then go back through that process. Swapping mastery pages is something that we're actively working on right now. We have designs for it where it's going through its paces. There's no sort of announced release for that yet because we're still going through the process of making sure that it kind of satisfies all its goals and makes everyone happy. But that specific issue of mastery respecing is something that we're working on right now.
Nice. So that is in the works. That's in the works.
Yes.
I just have to keep asking.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Okay. Next question comes in from someone I'm pretty sure you guys all know, contest champion, aka Brian Grant. Welcome to the questionnaire. It's a champion design question. He says, what's the research process like before starting to design a new champion? Is the research done by one all-knowing Marvel super expert, or does each champion designer go through comics, movies, etc., before starting to design their abilities?
Yeah. So every champion designer does the research on their own champions. Sort of full stop. They're responsible for that champion ownership. But that said, we do have a number of sort of Marvel experts in the office who we consult. And so in addition to looking at stuff like the comics and the movies, we've got people in the office who have just a ton of Marvel knowledge that we can turn to if we have questions. And we also have sort of official contacts at Marvel that we can ask for questions that they can't answer. So, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, you like that light?
Yeah, it got real bright.
Yeah. I like the answer too. That's fine.
Basically just give the same answer
It was
again,
enlightening. Yes.
No.
No. Terrible pun.
It wasn't
good
terrible.
puns.
It was actually quite good and quite sharp, and I did it on the spot, just like that. Didn't even have to think about it. Okay, next question is coming in from Headsman. When's the HULKBUSTER buff coming in caps? Mm-hmm. That's how the question was asked, in caps. When's the HULKBUSTER buff coming, and what can we expect?
So we've already started playtests for the HULKBUSTER update. He will be sort of released into the beta in April and then released to the whole sort of wide community in June. As far as what we're hoping for the changes, what you can expect, we definitely want to sort of amp up his tanky defensive abilities, give him some new tricks on offense. And we're also very much aware that he's a 6-star champion. So we want to make sure that we kind of deliver on a cool, powerful champion that's available at that level.
Yep. I just got one in 6-star.
So you're very excited.
I am excited.
Yeah.
Can I see the playtest?
There is a Hulkbuster playtest tomorrow here.
Okay, I will be there because I think I've done it for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Marvel Boy 2099 says, "Are you going to make Nexus crystals a regular thing in game? They are already interesting as a concept, and would love to see them become a more regular thing in game. Please drop a like because I know I'm not the only one who wants to know, and so that's why it's on the list."
Yeah. So we totally understand why Nexus and Focus crystals are super interesting to players. I mean, that's sort of why we built them, because we were internally super excited about building them. There's no plans on making them regular or normal. Like, we want them to be special and unique, so that, you know, it's exciting to get one or to acquire one. So yeah, there's no plans to make them like replace all the crystals in the game with Nexus versions.
What kind of events can we expect to see that come out of? Is that like a holiday event, like a Black Friday type of thing, or?
Probably more of the, you know, Black Friday, the big sales. If it's going to go into rewards, it would be like big end rewards, like Abyss, act rewards, that type of thing, like some sort of big reward, or in offers.
Okay. All right, Yuki is up next. What arena changes are planned to be introduced and when? And we can probably couple this in together with the follow-up on 5-star arena. But let's talk about the arenas just in general. Are there any changes? And I know that's a pretty light question, so I'll pad it myself. Things like maybe quality of life changes, less clicks in between menus, some optimizations on making that quicker. Because people are spending a lot of time in arena, so maybe cutting those down. And I know you've cut them down previously. You've really brought down the amount of screens that we have to go through. Are there plans to further optimize arena at this time?
So there's no plans for a major change to arenas at this time. So like there's no major mode changes, but there are plans for some quality of life improvements that are being talked about. I don't think this is on the roadmap, but like things like auto help, so that when you complete a fight, it would just automatically ask for help.
Sure.
As opposed to having to like click the little plus button on the top of your champion every time you have a fight.
We've called that the secondary arena. That's like the second arena run after you're done. You just kind of go through and tap through.
You know, other things are like the importance of it. Just in general, we've been working on sort of other modes, big changes to dungeons, working on quality of life improvements for alliances. So for a big change to arenas, it's not in the cards anytime soon, but small improvements we're looking at for sure.
Okay. And then that'll follow up with 5-star arena that question has made its way back in again. So we asked that question before. And I think the fact that it's being asked again is probably prompting for a different type of answer. It's still along the same lines, but let's see if we can try to get a better explanation as to why that's not happening.
Sure. I mean, the core reason, at least my belief of why players really want a 5-star basic arena, is being able to get the exact champion that they want. Yes, they still have to be one of the top players and place really high in the arena, but like if you do that, you can get the exact champion you want. Generally in the contest, we have a lot of like RNG elements. That is sort of the focus on how you acquire champions. So right now, that sort of solution is not something that we're looking at. Aside from the things that I brought up earlier, which is like it adds a whole bunch more battle chips, gold units into the economy, as well as the logistical overhead of like adding more arenas that we have to build on a weekly basis. One of the things that one of the other ways that we've been doing it or looking at improving that is more chances at getting 5-star pulls, more 5 stars. We've increased I know this is like a meme now, like that we're increasing the amount of 5-star and 6-star shards, but like it's gradually increasing over time. And so people are getting more chances at pulling 5 stars as opposed to like being able to get the exact 5-star they want.
Okay, so if I understand correctly, you're saying that you actually don't want to have a 5-star basic arena, and because you want to be more RNG focused, you want to give people more chances to spin 5 stars, not so much arena drive and try to get one.
Right.
So that's purposeful. So that's purposeful by design.
Yes.
So I wanted to compare and contrast that with the fact that you have an available 4-star basic arena. So I think a lot of people are looking at that and saying, well, the natural progression of the game is to go from a 4-star basic arena into a 5-star basic arena.
Right.
So I think there's some confusion as to why that's not happening.
When we added the 4-star basic arena, it was kind of a different time in the contest. There was a lot fewer ways, a lot less content in the game. Mm-hmm. Since then, like sort of comparing the contest to the way it is now, it doesn't, from our perspective, it doesn't make sense to add a 5-star basic arena. We are more focusing on other ways to get like 5 stars and just like limited pool crystals, the NEXUS crystal that you brought up before, mm-hmm. Like areas like in dungeons. Also, there's a difference between 4 stars and 5 stars. Like 5 stars, you get these broader pools of 10 champions. 4 stars, you can get types of champions. Like we have a bleed crystal and a crit crystal. So we intentionally make it a little easier to get the champions you need to help you become uncollected, to help accelerate sort of players through that. Mm-hmm. It's all part of like a careful balance. We want to make sure that they can get from day 1 to uncollected to Cavalier at the right pace. Okay. Right? And that's lots of discussions with economy and the game team about how to get them from 1 and 2 stars to 4 stars and into 5 stars and into 6 stars.
So you're taking those shards, and I've noticed that you've also had like focused crystals where there's just like a limited pool in those crystals you can use those shards with. So you're loading people up with shards, mm-hmm. and then giving them different types of options to either go for maybe a featured or go for a focus level of crystals, or to play in dungeons or something like that. Is dungeons included in that? Those dungeon crystals, is that part of the plan for 5-star acquisition? Because those aren't actually 5-star shards. That's a different currency altogether. But are you also thinking about using 5-star shards in that area?
5-star shards to buy dungeon crystals?
I mean, in terms of acquisition to.
Oh well, yeah. Like for a lot of the high-end players, like that's what they spend their artifacts on. Yeah. They spend them on the 5-star limited pool crystals. So it's those types of strategies that we're looking at for champion requirement, as opposed to players being able to like do an arena and get the exact champion they want. Okay,
so I forgot to check up on the follow-up from the last video. They asked about Cavalier Difficulty, and you guys said coming soon. So I'm following up on when soon actually is.
So are we talking about the one-shot?
Yes. So the one-shot is a monthly EQ for...
Yeah. So yeah, we can say that it's coming soon. Mm-hmm. I don't have a timeline yet, but I can say that it's gonna come in 2020.
Coming in 2020. Okay. Is that, can we know first half or second half, or is that still undecided?
That's still undecided.
Still undecided. Okay. So I'll ask it again in like May. Just keep asking. All right. So this one's coming in from Vox. When will the monthly EQ uncollected rewards be updated?
So if we're talking strictly about increased reward, the short answer is probably never, or at least not anytime soon. We're going to update the rewards soon, but as I said, it's going to be an update, not an increase. And it's in the same continuation as what I said earlier about splitting PRG and the reward.
What is PRG?
Campaign progression. Okay. That means all the Act 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.2, and 6.1. Mm-hmm. And yeah, on top of that, the new difficulty will come where all the Cavalier players and above we'll be able to get the items here.
Awesome. Okay, next question is Fifth Circle. So this is kind of going back to the duels. Why is there no repeat duel button? Literally takes 10 steps. I did a video on it. So basically, they kind of want a rematch. So we already talked about the fact that there'll be some NPC characters already added to the game where you can just look them up and play.
Yeah.
Is that repeat button going to be added to that action?
I would really like it if it was. It's like I said before, the duels feature is like we're looking at different ways to show players how to play the game. But in the temporary, we are adding these new accounts so you can do this stuff. I submitted a request to our team like this morning after reading this, saying, "Yeah, why don't we have this button?" So I'm going to talk to our team and I'm going to try and sort that out because I do understand. I mean, if we're going to use this, even if it's a temporary training tool, if we can add something small like that to help players get through it, then we'll do what we can for sure.
Awesome. So I guess ask next time. Ask next time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it seems like a kind of like an obvious answer, and maybe it's something that we should have considered before. But like I mentioned, that feature wasn't really intended to be played that way. So I guess it was kind of an oversight, or something that could have been included to try and progress the feature. So yeah, it's something we definitely look at.
All right, I'm going to keep asking.
Keep asking.
Yeah.
Keep bugging me.
Yes, I will. This one is from William Cousser, or Cousser, or Cousser, depending on how you pronounce that. I hope I got one of them. Serious question. When is Kabam going to do, what are they going to do about the surge of bots and Mercs? Because they dominate arena and edge out real players from their top spots.
It's, I mean, botting, hacking, cheating, it's obviously something that, all mobile games have issues with, and we're no different. We have some really good initiatives that are coming in, though, to try and combat some of this stuff. I mean, sometimes there's some like relatively obvious stuff. You start seeing like similar names in a leaderboard, and you go, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Those guys got to be botters. And it's true. And quite often, after that gets seen, people look at it, they go, oh my God, there's a lot of botters in the game. And, quite often those ones get banned like very shortly thereafter. But, I mean, we don't go back and look at those again. So we don't know that there isn't actually like an awful lot of that going on. We ban thousands of accounts every week. And we actually have like a really strong new tool set that's going to be coming in. So, I just want you guys to know that we are watching. And we're going to be taking some pretty harsh steps against this.
Very Liam Neeson of you.
I'm coming for my daughter.
I will find you.
What have you done with my daughter?
We will find you. We will ban you.
Yeah.
All right.
I think I wrote something a lot more inspirational on there about this whole topic, but
I was speaking with some of the other developers that didn't want to give specifics about what you're doing because if you say what you're doing, they know exactly what to circumvent. So this kind of has to be down low, and people, I guess we just kind of have to trust that you're doing something about it.
Yeah, this is always a really difficult question. I mean, as soon as we start telling people how we're reacting to these situations, then it's public information. The botters see it, and they change their methods on how they do what they do, and it makes it a lot harder for us to detect them. Or sometimes it makes it harder for us to detect them. But in the end, we're going to keep on fighting and trying to get those guys out of there because I mean, tolerance-wise, we don't want cheaters in our game.
Okay, I only have.
What's the?
I have two more questions left.
Okay.
Yeah. One is, can you remove the help button completely and replace it with a better way to earn loyalty daily? Why does that sound so? I feel like it hurt.
Loyalty. Help. Okay. So loyalty on the help button has been continually discussed since the last time we talked about this in November. Part of some of the proposed solutions are potentially removing the button, making it easier to help people, even changing how loyalty works in general to something where you get more loyalty for the longer you're in an alliance, which is kind of actual loyalty. Also reducing the importance of loyalty so that it's not quite as important, like you don't have to help all the time. Like loyalty was added to the game at a point when we wanted a reason for players to be in alliances, like before alliance events, before alliance quests and alliance wars. Since then, obviously it's been, it's one of those things where the goals of what help is and what loyalty is has changed. So we're looking at a lot of possible solutions to that particular problem. But as of right now, we don't have any current plans to remove the help button, but we are looking at it.
Okay. So is this another TBD, ask next time, and we might be closer to it? Or is that like a 2020 thing, or is that just like not on the map?
I feel like it's a 2020 thing.
Okay.
It has come up enough. It's enough of a player pain point, and it's come up enough in discussions internally that I would be surprised if we don't have a solution in 2020.
Okay. So ask right around the time Cavalier Difficulty is coming around. Is that right around there?
Around that time, yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. Last question. FPS Drops asks, can we have separate mastery setups, which we talked about? Instead of restoring all points or doing it all over again, can we have a second page for masteries so we can alternate between them with one tap, i.e. from suicides to non-suicides? Well, we can just expand.
We're working on it.
Yeah. Did we talk about a timeline? Is that 2020
We kind of
also?
like touched on it. I think 2020. I can't remember off the top of my head because it's
I'd say even if it was like the quick and dirty version where it's just a couple of pages for loadouts, it'd be 2020.
Yeah.
We can't figure out a longer term solution right away.
Yeah. Masteries is such a big system that like there's easy stuff we can do in 2020 for sure. There's bigger stuff we want to do that we can't. And it's a question of like how often do we touch this system? How often do we make changes? Like, what do we want to batch together? What do we want to split up? Like, it's complicated. So we're trying to figure out what to do first, almost. So yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, that is all the questions. Those were the top 10. Those were actually the top 12. And then we also included follow-up questions from last time. So we will be doing this again in another couple of months. So think about what questions you want. So the next time the video drops, you'll have some stuff ready. I want to thank Brad, Stevie, Keith, and Aiden for giving us some time to answer those questions. You guys did fantastic. Thanks for coming by. So Kabam Mike walked in here just now and wouldn't let me finish the ending. And so he says, there's a lot of plans that they say things are in plans or that we're planning on it, and there aren't a lot of answers. So he was pushing for what they are exactly excited about, what plans are coming that maybe you don't know about that they're most excited about.
I mean, my answer is easy. We just got a lot of sweet champions coming out. Like, they're all cool and I love them, but I don't want to say who they are yet. So keep your eyes peeled.
So the improvements that I'm looking most forward to are some of the sweet tools that we are looking at for alliance leaders.
Alliance leader tools?
That's right.
Is that like the less stress?
That's all you get.
Fine.
Okay, on my end, I'm most excited about we're working the early game progression, and it's gonna make a huge difference for the new players.
Ah, nice.
And Kabam Jones says that the new dungeon improvements are the most fun game mode in the contest 2020. So hyping that up.
They're sweet.
Yeah, players are going to be really excited when they see the improvements.
Yeah.
And
I'm excited. I've already seen them. Am I allowed to say that? Oh, okay. I've already seen them. Okay. All right. So, guys, remember, stay dorky, and I will catch y'all on the flip. Yes, we got 1 out of 3. That works. All right, guys. See you next time.
Learn a little something. Take a lesson. Learn it all.